this is Laura from LiveVisions.com, and I just wanted to make sure my volume's up first on this phone. I just wanted to talk to you guys a little bit about Venus. I was going to do Jupiter, but I think I'm going to do the Jupiter transit in the next couple of days and talk about how it's going to affect each sign. But for now, this is just impromptu. I didn't give anybody any notice or anything, but I just want to talk a little bit about Venus and Venus in specific signs. Now, this is going to be in the seminar that I'm having on August 30th. It's going to be a webinar, which is going to be a lot of fun. And I'm going to go through all the signs and tell you what it means to have Venus in different signs, and what it means whether you're male or female, and what it means for money. So I'm going to give you an example. And somebody, let me see if I can find her name here, prompted me to do this video now, like as a little sample, because she has, you know, Venus in Pisces, okay? And that is a very kind of difficult placement, because Venus in Pisces, number one, if you're a woman and you have Venus in Pisces, you can, Venus for a woman is how you flirt, what you're attracted to. Whether you're male or female, this is how love plays out for you, okay? And if you're a man, this is the type of woman you're attracted to, okay? So if you're a guy, you could be attracted to a woman who is spiritual, who is creative, who is very compassionate, okay? But, you know, with Venus, you have to be careful with, for a man, that this person isn't into drugs or alcohol or, you know, something like this. And sometimes men with Venus in Pisces have to be careful not to go for somebody where they're wanting the wounded bird to take care of. You know what I'm saying? They have to make sure that they're looking at the woman clearly, and not for their potential, but for who they really are, okay? Now, whether you're male or female, okay, if you have your Venus in Pisces, this can apply. Basically, the way women flirt with Venus in Pisces, they would show their compassionate side. They will show their caring, loving side. They will show a spiritual side, you know, nurturing, you know, very, very sweet, empathetic side. They just have to be careful that people don't take their kindness for weakness, okay? Whether you're male or female, on the positive side, the way Venus can play out in Pisces is that your love could be very spiritual, very, you know, with Venus here, you could be in love with love. Romance could be huge, you know, especially women. Women with Venus in Pisces could be very romantic, maybe loving all the chick flicks, loving all the romance movies, you know, trying to make things really beautiful and romantic in the relationship. And this could be very nice spiritually. And, you know, oh, hey, Venus and Leo person, yeah, you're lucky. Okay, Susie. But Venus in Pisces is a little bit difficult, because the way love could also play out is that you could feel like you've been so caring and so compassionate to somebody, and they've taken your kindness for weakness, and you could feel duped, you could feel lied to. This is on the negative side. Not everybody's gonna have this negative, it depends on your chart and the aspects to it and things like this, but you know, on the negative side, you could fall in love with someone where you fall in love with their potential instead of who they really are, and kind of have the rose-colored glasses on. And so the key here, if you have this placement, is to look for someone who's spiritual, look for somebody who's creative, and somebody who is, you know, romantic, number one. Number two is, this person may need help in some way. It's okay to help somebody, but if you know they don't want to help themselves, and when you look to them, to lean on them, and there's nobody there, and you feel like the love life is like a one-way street sign, then it's time to go, you know. So this could be a difficult placement, because the person is always wanting to try to be compassionate, be loving to that person, you know. Now, I will say, when it comes to money, all right, so if you have Venus, and this isn't as bad, you know, but if you have Venus in Pisces, you could be, you know, make money through being a doctor, marine related, chemicals, oil, painters, hospitals, something creative you could make money at too. It rules hospitals and prisons. You could be a psychologist, an artist, a designer, in the entertainment business, or in charities. You could be involved in charities, okay? Now, I will say, now, somebody asked me, is this Venus in the natal chart? Yes, Venus in the natal chart is what I'm talking about, okay? So, like, now, it also depends on what house you have it in, okay? So we're kind of dealing with Venus and Pisces right now because it's a difficult placement, I will say. Scorpio is a difficult placement. Aquarius is a difficult placement. And also depending on the houses. 8th house is a difficult placement. 12th house is a difficult placement. You know, the 11th house can be a little bit difficult as well. You know, so there's some, you know, so let's talk about the 12th house, okay? So if you have Venus in the 12th house, now financially, I have all my notes here. Financially, you can have jobs with, you know, dealing with foreign people, foreign places, okay? You can also have jobs requiring secrecy, travel, hospitals, prisons, charities, and advocacy, okay? Now, hey Patty, how are you? If you have your Venus in the 12th house as far as love is concerned, I would say you need to be very careful as far as feeling like love is unrequited, feeling like you love someone but you can't have them. A blind date could be great with Venus in the 12th house, okay? But sometimes feeling, you know, being secretive about love too. Venus in the 12th house can make you very secretive, you know, private for whatever reason about your love life. Now, Venus also in the 12th house could be, you know, like you always want to also look to the ruler to your 7th house of marriage and find out what house that's in to give you information as where you may meet this person for marriage. And then the ruler to the 5th, which is dating, and see where that is, to see where you may meet that person for dating. But as far as the way love plays out, okay, Venus in the 12th, you may feel it's unrequited, or it's has to be very secretive for whatever reason. You know, maybe you go on some blind dates, which could be proof beneficial. But again, you have to put it all together. Mine is in the 4th house in Aries. Wow. So, I have something funny for Venus in Aries. I'll tell you guys about it. So, this class should be really fun, this seminar. And I'll give you a little tidbits. Okay, so let's talk about Venus in Aries. Venus in Aries, like if you're a woman, you're not shy. You're direct. You know, you're going to say what you know, if you're interested in someone, you're going to go for it, you know. And Venus is how you flirt, you know. So, and if you're a man with Venus in Aries, you know, you want someone who's direct. You want somebody who's a go-getter. You want a girl who's not shy. She may approach you, you know, with Venus in Aries. But I will say, you know, sometimes in classes we can talk, you know, about sexuality and deep sexuality as far as how it plays out too, because all of that matters too in a chart, to see if you're sexually compatible with somebody, you know. Like if a man has his Mars in Aries, you know, can be, not all, depending on what house it's in as well, can be a Minuteman, I will say. And if you're a woman who has their Venus in Aries, you know, foreplay can be like just, they may not need much. It could be just brace yourself. You know, it's like, so yeah, you know, these seminars could be kind of fun and interesting as far as love is concerned and about how it plays out. Now, I will say Scorpio is a difficult one too, because when the way love plays out, when it's good, it's good. When it's bad, it's bad. And the key is intensity, you know, with Venus and Scorpio. So if you're a woman, you may show your very sexual side. You may show a very intimate side. You know, whether you want to or not, you may ooze this sexuality about yourself, you know. And, you know, I keep forgetting the girl from Modern Family. I forgot her name. She's Spanish. But she just oozes the sexuality about herself. And she may very well have Venus in Scorpio, or maybe in the 8th house. You know, 8th house can be that as well. Now, if you're a guy and you have your Venus in the 8th house or in Scorpio, you may want someone who's very sexual, very intense, very passionate. Now, the only difficult thing with this is there could be jealousy, there could be possessiveness, there could be, plays, power struggles, you know, that you have to be careful of with this placement. And the whole thing with this whole thing is you kind of want to be this mind, body, soul with that person, and then you want that intensity. You're not really looking for superficial relationships or fake relationships or relationships that are based on something other than deep and passionate intimacy, deep feelings, you know, something true and real. So the key word is intensity, and because it is so intense, there could be, you know, jealousy and possessiveness and insecurity that you really need to kind of be watchful of. And I'd say that if you have this, it's really good to get with a person who maybe you're on the same page as, okay, well, I won't do this if you don't do that too, or maybe really getting to know them first really well. Because I will say that Venus in either the 8th house or in Scorpio is a very sexual sign, and sometimes you want to know your lover from the inside out. So I will say, like that Bryan Adams song, I want to know you from the inside out, that totally plays here because of the fact that people with Venus in the 8th house or in Scorpio tend to be more sexual right away, and their thing is if we're intimate right away, then I will know your secrets. And Scorpio is kind of like the sign of all knowing. So it's true, they kind of really get to know somebody once you're intimate. It's kind of like they kind of really get to know you on that deep level, and they need that intensity, they need that depth in the relationship. So sexuality is huge for them. And the keyword, and if you're with them and they're not just looking for it depends on what house it's in as well, and the conjunctions and the aspects and all that, but they're looking for, I would say, the long time, even though they're a very sexual sign, not just the good time. I'd say the two most sexual signs are Gemini and Scorpio, but Scorpio is looking for that intensity and that one partner, you know. And so the other difficult one, oh, and money-wise, just to give you a little, if you have your Venus in the 8th house, you know, well, let's go with Scorpio first. It could be with chemicals, drugs, you know, you can make through medicines, liquids, insurance, doctors, nurses, police, the occult, metaphysics, research, surgeon, psychologist, forensics, you know. And if it's in the 8th house per se as well, same thing, insurance, research, death related. You can make money through religious professions, foreign countries, things like this. So Venus in a chart can really give you a lot of information about money and the way love plays out. If you're a woman, what you're, you know, how you attract a partner, and if you're a man, what you're wanting in a partner, what you're attracted to in a partner. And for men, if you're looking for to see what a man, you know, his libido, ladies, if you're interested in a man and his energy and how he displays that energy and his sexual libido, you want to look at his Mars, okay? And if you're interested in the way, you know, how your sex life may go with your partner, you want to look at that 8th house, see the planets in it, what the ruler, what the ruling planet is in the 8th house as well. So also, I will say Aquarius is a very difficult sign with Venus because love can be very up and down. These people might need more freedom in a relationship. You know, they may be like, there's makeup, breakup, makeup, breakup, and there could be, you know, the best thing to do is find a balance where you're at least getting your freedom as well, you know, your space, because there could be a lot of needing your own kind of space with Venus and Aquarius, and there could be a lot of ups and downs, stops and starts, you know, unexpected, you know, things in relationships as well, and you have to look at the house that it's into. So anyway, I hope this gives you a little tidbit as far as Venus goes and what the seminar is that I'm going to be teaching. And you know, I'm going to go through all the signs, and we're going to touch base on, you know, the houses, and we're also going to be looking at how Venus may play out as far as money goes. And I'm going to be looking at everyone's chart that joins the seminar, and that's going to be on August 30th. It's $30 a person, and I'm going to give you a little tidbit as far as what it says as far as money goes based on your personal chart. But it should be a lot of fun, and I just wanted to give you this little kind of impromptu as far as Venus goes in your chart. And I know this is really late, and I just kind of decided to do this. And the next one I plan on doing is Jupiter and how it's going to be affecting each sign. That's the next seminar I'm going to be, not the seminar, that's the next, what is it, live stream I'm going to do. And I'm going to also upload it to YouTube to kill two birds in one stone. So, see, I have Venus and Virgo in the 5th house. Yeah, Virgos can be a little bit, Venus and Virgo, I will say, you could be a little bit critical, you know, looking at things too critically, you know. A lot of times with men who have Venus and Virgo, they have the unthinkable checklist as to what the person should have, you know. Oh, I want her, she has to be this 5'10", she has to be like a supermodel, she has to be look like this. I'm just giving you examples, you know, that doesn't mean exactly. But a crazy example means like I couldn't date her because her second toe was bigger than her first toe, and that's gotta go. They're so critical and picky. So you need to be careful if you have Venus and Virgo that you're not so picky that you don't end up alone. You know what I mean? That you don't end up with this unthinkable checklist. You could be very detail-oriented, critical. Some, not all, can be you know, neat freaks. But you know, in a man's chart, like I said, it's the kind of woman, he may want somebody who's, you know, very detail-oriented, very, you know, into how she looks, conservative type of girl. You know, and if you're a woman, you may be kind of critical with love too. You may be very, I will say though, Venus with Virgo, I hate to say this, not everybody's like this, but they will bend over backwards for their partner to please them. You know, because Virgo is the sign of service to others, and some prostitutes actually have Venus and Virgo because they will, you know, do things like they're wanting to be of service, they're wanting to help. Like, let me do this for you. I want to do this for you. I want to make you happy. I want to make you happy. But sometimes what happens is they're so much making the other person happy, you know, they can lose themselves. You know, and they could be very critical of themselves. You know. So that can be a little bit difficult too, you know. And sometimes with men with Venus and Virgo on top of the unthinkable checklist, sometimes the way this can play out with both signs is that, you know, you kind of want to be of service to people and help them, but you have to make sure they want to help themselves, because you don't want someone taking your kindness for weakness or being hurt by that person. And no, not everybody, you know, doesn't mean that you're a prostitute or, you know, anything like this, but that can be seen in a chart of somebody who does that, and you have to look at the whole chart as a whole. But it could be somebody who will just, and I will say these could be like the Martha Stewarts of the zodiac too. There's extremely organized, extremely efficient, doing things, you know, many little things for the partner to show that they care, you know. And oh, let me get the laundry for you, I'll get this for you, oh, I'm gonna have dinner ready by 5, you know, oh my god, I'm throwing that party. I will say, people with a woman who's got her Venus and Virgo, oh my god, she could probably throw the best parties, you know, organized, efficient, you know, detail oriented, you know, like I said, they can't be the Martha Stewarts of the zodiac, but in a sexual sense, they can be so giving, sometimes, and of service and wanting to do for other people. It depends on the sign and the house and all that stuff it's in, I mean the house it's in and the aspects, because some people could be more severe than others, you know. I remember I had somebody with Venus and Virgo, and it was in the 8th house, and I asked her, I had mentioned to her that, you know, some prostitutes can have this placement, and I go, and it's yours is a very sexual placement, and then she said that she was once a prostitute, and that, you know, she was trying to change her life, and, you know, but, you know, so astrology can tell you so much, you know, and ways in which you will make money too. So let's say you have Venus in Virgo, you know, let me just look at my notes here. All right, so Venus in Virgo, computing, astrology, accounting, media, doctors, healing, advising as well. You know, service-oriented fields, okay? All right. So, and that goes with the 6th house. So if you have it in the 6th house, the same thing. You could be a lawyer, military, police, service-oriented fields like labor, health-related professions, food waiter, you know, things that you're helping others, you're of service to other people. So if you have your Venus in that house, that can be ways in which you could make money. But anyway, I hope this is helpful to you guys, and if you guys wanted a psychic reading, you need to let me know before I sign off. Somebody, you guys said, yes, that's true. And somebody said they had their Venus in Leo, and I'm like, I'm jealous. And that's because Venus in Leo is like the way love plays out. You could be like a public couple, everybody notices you, very grandiose, depending on what house it's in as well. But if you're a man with Venus in Leo, oh my God, you're looking for the girl that walks in the room and everybody notices her. You know, she's got the bling, she may have a fur coat, she may have a big ring on, she may have the earrings, you know, but she's dressed to the nines, you know. And if you're a woman who has her Venus in Leo, you are looking, you know, you present yourself in a very public way. When you show that you take pride in yourself, you have a lot of confidence with Venus in Leo, a lot of security. You just ooze confidence. So when you walk into a room, you could get a lot of attention with Venus in Leo. You could be very beautiful with Venus in Leo, or something about you stands out in some way. And the way love plays out, it could be very public. It could be very, you know, you get a lot of attention, you know. And don't forget, Leo is a very, it's not only one of the most confident signs in the zodiac, but it's also generous and lavish. And so, you know, Venus and Leo, maybe your partner lavishes you, you know, with gifts, or, you know, Venus and Leo is nice. So anyway, whoever said they had Venus and Leo, I'm jealous. All right, so let's see. Oh, let's see. And if you don't know where your Venus is, I had a calculator on my website that I'm embarrassed to say, but it is so true. From Astro Theme or whatever, like a widget that they had, and it kept showing up in French. So I have to get another calculator on my website. So if you do not know where your Venus is, go to astro.com and look at your planetary placements. It'll show you where your Venus is, you know, located, and what house it's located in, to maybe understand the seminar if you decide to go, or even understand this video. 11th house, Virgo, Venus. 11th house can be a little bit detached because that's the house of Aquarius, you know. So there, you know, you may need a little bit of space, you know, with Venus and the way love plays out. Maybe there's some stops and starts, or maybe also friendship. 11th house is friendship. So you may show, if you're a female with Venus in the 11th, that you're friends. You need to be friends first, you know. Maybe start slow before you go into something. Things could end quickly too. You could just decide, oh, this isn't for me, I'm done, you know, with Venus in the 11th. Things could go quick and quick. Depends, you know. I would say the best thing with Venus in the 11th is to become friends first. She says, yes, we do too much for others. Yes, that's so true. That's so true. Virgos tend to be of service to others, wanting to help others. And I will say, people who are Virgo ascendants, I almost feel like starting a support group for them online on like a chat room. I'm a Virgo ascendant too. And it is hard because you have Pisces on the 7th house cusp. So everything that I said about Pisces, having your Venus in Pisces, applies to people who are Virgo ascendants within their house of marriage, because they could marry somebody that has those qualities, which can become very difficult, you know. So anyway, but I hope this is helpful to you. If you have questions or you're thinking about joining the seminar, it could be a lot of fun. I'm going to be looking at everyone's chart, you know, and I may, you know, I don't know. It depends on the people who sign up for the seminar and stuff, what they want me to look at. You could look at your partner's information, your information, whatever. But I will be giving I'm going to give you the information as a whole about the sign and the houses, and then I'm going to look at each person and talk about money specific to them. So, and if you have questions in this, it should be a lot of fun. I'm thinking it could be really interactive, and we can talk a lot about the 8th house, which is sexuality and compatibility with sexuality. But maybe that should be in different seminar, but we may touch on it a little bit in this seminar because I know everyone's interested in that, and some people have compatibility issues in that way. So Anyway, I hope this was fun for you guys and informative. That's my thing. It's informative. And I'm telling you, astrology can tell you so much about not only your life, but another person's life. And especially sometimes you may think that somebody is not like, he doesn't like me. I don't understand what's wrong with him. He doesn't like me, you know, and the guy has his Mars in Cancer. And so that means that he's a little bit more reserved. He's not like, yeah, notice me, woo, you know. A guy with Mars and his, I'm not talking about Venus here, but his Mars, his energy is by, you know, how he presents himself. That's how a man attracts a woman, is through his Mars. It's different than a woman. So if a guy has his Mars in Leo, this guy's confident, most confident guy around, you know. It's like he don't care. He's gonna approach a girl if he's interested. He's like, oh, she may shoot me down, but who cares? I'm going for it, you know. And then there are guys with Mars in Cancer. Mars in Cancer may say, oh no, I'm not. A lot of Mars in Cancer men tend to have their Venus in a fire sign because they like more assertive women. I've noticed this. So they like more women who are more direct because they don't like to be the ones who are approaching, you know. So, you know, you just have to, you know, look at it. Some people think, well, the partner's not interested and it has nothing to do with that. It has to do with the chart and seeing how that person is towards you and you are to them. And sometimes people are just a little shy and reserved, you know. Somebody with their Mars in Aquarius, especially a man, could be reserved, could show like my Mars is in Aquarius, okay, but I'm a female. And I could do things without notice and quick, and look at me, I'm doing this impromptu, live stream, okay? So, but if I was a man with my Mars in Aquarius, my way of flirting and attracting a woman may be very distant. It may be very detached, you know what I'm saying? But me as a woman with my Mars in Aquarius, I kind of need my space too. If someone's too possessive or controlling, I'm like, I don't think so. But also, yeah, you don't want to control somebody who has their Mars in Aquarius, female. So guys out there, she has her Mars in Aquarius, you're not going to be able to possess or control her. The best thing to do is, like, you know, be equal, be her friend, you know her, you know. But like I said, Mars in Aquarius for a man, also his energy could be very, you know, I'm in it to win it, then I'm not. You know, I'm on and I'm off. And the same thing for women too. They can start something quick, end something quick too. Venus in Aquarius. Okay, the way women flirt with Venus in Aquarius, it may be very awkward for her. I'm going to be honest with you. This is a very hard placement because you may say, well, the way I flirt is I don't. You know, meaning that she could be so detached, like, well, I always wait for the guy to come to me. So I always say to people, okay, so when it comes to flirting, you feel so awkward with Venus and Aquarius, because Aquarius is what? The sign of eccentricity, the sign of, you know, standing out, but being a little different, you know, and detachment. It's the sign of being detached. So somebody with Venus and Aquarius can be very detached to themselves and kind of, you know, like the way I would tell a girl with Venus and Aquarius, well, a lot of times maybe if you're reserved and you're not responsive to him and you kind of keep your space, he maybe thinks you're not even interested and move on. So, you know, it could be a communication issue, and Venus and Aquarius doesn't really, you know, they're not really, and some Venus and Aquarius people could be the opposite, but you got to look at the whole chart because everyone's different. But there is an element of detachment there, you know, so the way they flirt could be very different, one for a female, or it could be very so detached that the guy doesn't know she's interested, you know. And Mars in Aquarius for a man, end something quick, start something quick. He's going to show that he's different, he's eccentric, he's, you know, not like everybody else, you know. He would like the fact that, and really love the fact that he's different. And so, but it depends on, there's conjunctions or aspects and all that to that as well. What about Mars in Pisces? If you're a guy and you have your Mars in Pisces, well, you're going to show that you're creative, you're spiritual. You may show that you're really compassionate to somebody, you know what I mean? The way that you would flirt, you would show that compassionate spiritual side. You know, the higher octave of Pisces is spirituality, creativity. You could show that you're creative too, and compassionate. And you could show you're super romantic, very romantic. Like, you would be the type of guy who doesn't mind to sit and watch a chick flick. If she says, oh, let's watch The Notebook, you're like, oh, I'm in. you know, and you bring the champagne and you probably bring the chocolate covered strawberries, you would be all in it, and she'd be like, this is so awesome. I'm telling you, guys can learn a lot from a guy with Mars and Pisces. But on the lower octave of Mars and Pisces, okay, some, not all, there's high, especially with the sign of Pisces, there's the real high octave and there's the low octave, okay, of Pisces. And the lower octave of Pisces is the guy who is spiritual, you know, he's creative, but he's like, you know, I always picture the guy like in the band who's like totally musically inclined, but he loves getting stoned every weekend, and he's like, yeah, you know, whatever. He's spiritual in his own way, but he's kind of like in his own place mentally, and like stoner type. So there's like the low octave and there's the high octave too. And I will say sometimes Mars and Pisces, they're so compassionate to the world and to people around them, and they take things so personal, and they're so sensitive, and they may like to be of service to the world in a different way, like volunteering and things like this. And so sometimes when somebody has had a lot of bad experiences in life and a lot of trauma in their life, and things become very painful for them, Mars and Pisces person may go to drugs or alcohol to tune out of life because it's so painful. And they say Pisces is the sign that's closest to God, the closest to spirituality. They're also clairvoyant. They kind of know things, you know, but that's another, maybe I should do a little live stream on psychic indicators. I should do that. But anyhow, Mars and Pisces, yeah. So, and if you're a woman with Mars and Pisces, the same would apply. But also, I will say this, people with Mars and Pisces, they're not quick to start things really fast. You know, they tend to go slower. And I know that I have a sibling who has a Mars and Pisces, and I'm like, come on, let's go, let's get going, you know. I'm an Aries sun, and my Mars is an Aquarius, but I'm like, come on, let's go, like, let's do, well, my Mars is also conjunct Jupiter, so even though it's an Aquarius, which Aquarius could be like, sometimes you have energy, sometimes you don't. I sometimes can have a lot of energy, and I'm like, let's do this, are we gonna do this? And she's like, well, let's think about it. And she's the like, we're both creative, but in different ways. You know, whether you're male or female with Mars and Pisces, you would be a very creative type of person. Let me just make sure that the lighting, it could be a very creative type of person, but she, I will say, sometimes takes a little while to get things going. I'm like, let's go. And yeah, so that's Mars and Pisces. And Pisces rules the feet. So you may be, you know, I don't know, if like, I'm not sure if Mars and Pisces people would be great dancers, but they may have nice feet. Yes. Let me see. What about Mars and Aries? I think that's a bad placement. Mars and Aries, I went over that in the beginning of this video, and it was kind of funny. You know, I was saying that they could be very direct. They're not. Oh, Mars and Aries. You're talking about Mars, not Venus. Mars and Aries can be very direct. They can be bold. They can be, you know, they do things quickly. You know, they're not, you know how like a child will do things without thinking. Mars and Aries people tend to do things without thinking. They can quick to anger, but yet they're quick to forgive, you know, as well. Mars and Aries is the first to be like, you know, you don't want to challenge someone with Mars and Aries though. It's like, game on. They're ready, you know, because Aries is the sign that's ruled by Mars. So it's in its own sign. And, you know, Mars is aggression and passion. It's also very passionate, but it's also aggression and warlike, you know. So they're not afraid to take somebody to task and be like, you know, game on, you know. But they're also, like I said, if you have your Mars and Aries and you're a man, it could be kind of a minute man, you know, in an intimate way. Not depending on the house and the conjunctions and the aspects and all that stuff. I'm just saying in general, because you know how people, that's not me. I have that in my general videos with all about Aries or Taurus, and they all get mad. But yeah, so I'm just saying, depends on the chart. And then if you're a woman with Mars and Aries, you could be aggressive, assertive, you know. You're not going to back down if somebody challenges you. This is it's hard for a woman to have Mars and Aries too, because this could be it's a masculine sign. You know, I have my sun in Aries, and it's a very masculine sign, and it can be very difficult because, you know, it can be a very strong-minded female. Well, all the fire signs can be. You know, if you're a female and you're a fire sign, you could be very strong. You know, you just need a guy who can match you. Oh, and that's another thing. Women with a lot of Aries energy need a very strong guy because they don't value weakness. You know, it's true with Aries, they just do not value weakness. So, what else did you? I have a place. Oh my God! When challenge me, be ready. That's true. You know, don't ever challenge somebody with Mars and Aries. It'd be like, okay, you know, bring it. I'm ready already, and they get all feisty. You know, so they're not afraid. As I say in Italian, what do they say? Testaduna. Well, that's hard-headed. That's like stubborn. But yeah, they're not afraid to go to task. Let's put it that way, you know. But in a sexual way, Mars and Aries, a man could get into things quickly and end things quickly. Like, oh, you know, I thought I was in love with this girl and I, you know, was intimate with her right away, and then I'm like, I don't know now. You know, that can happen. And with Venus and Aries, with women too, you could be go into things quickly. You're not afraid. You're not shy. You know, so you need to watch that as well. So I hope this was helpful to you guys, and if you want to join my seminar, it's August 30th. It's $30 a person, and it's going to be, it might be more than an hour, just saying. It might be a couple hours, I don't know. Knowing me, I become really thorough, and I, you know, if you've ever taken a class from me, I go over things and I try to make sure everybody understands, and so sometimes we can go over time, I'm just saying. So anyway, but I will give you guys a little bit of information as far as where you may make money in your chart based on your Venus, okay? So I hope to see you there, and stay tuned. In the next couple days I will do a live stream on Jupiter and what it means for each sign, and so hopefully that'll be helpful to know how through the next year Jupiter is going to be affecting each and every one of us. All right, and thank you for liking, sharing, subscribing, commenting on my videos, thumbs up, hearts, all of you guys leaving all that. That's so, and it's, I appreciate it, and it really helps too, as far as because the way Facebook algorithms go, the more comments, likes, thumbs up, hearts, all that, the more they send it to more people. So anyway, hopefully this is helpful to those who are curious about, oh, thanks for the hearts, you guys. So hopefully this is helpful to you guys as far as, and in relationships though too, it's really good to look at your Venus and your Mars. It's also really good to look at your 8th house, you know, to see if you're sexually compatible. It's also very good to look at your Mercury, how you communicate, and your Moon, which is your greatest need, you know. So if anybody of you guys will also want a relationship advisor session, I'd be happy to do that. And they're really informative and sometimes juicy, depending on what I see. But yeah, anyway, I will talk to you guys soon, and I hope to see you at the August 30th seminar. I will put a link below in case you did want to join, and I also put a link for a relationship advisor session in case any of you guys would like to book that. Anyway, I will talk to you guys soon, and I'm sorry I didn't give advance notice. Total example of Mars in Aquarius. Mars in Aquarius does things quickly, off the cuff, like, yeah, I just have this idea, I'm gonna do it, you know. But yeah, it was late and my daughter was sleeping. I'm like, oh my God, it's the perfect time. So I will do a, the next one's going to be Jupiter, and how it's going to be affecting each and every one of us while it's going to be in Libra for the year. All right, so stay tuned for that one. I will talk to you soon, and I will be posting this on YouTube as well. See you later. Bye-bye.